Alright guys, Tactical here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Friday so far, and today the Minnesota home series finally begins. It's been an exciting few weeks of Call of Duty, hopefully going to be capped off by a great weekend where we can hopefully crown the new best team in the Call of Duty World League right now. Not the World League anymore, the Call of Duty League, but of course Chicago Huntsmen, Atlanta FaZe, Dallas Empire are all here this weekend, and we're expecting some fireworks to go off on the main stage. Yes, it's still online, and that may affect things. Maybe online it would have been different, but this is the hand we are dealt right now. Intrigued to see your thoughts and predictions down in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. Wanted to mention real quick, it looks like Classic is back on the Toronto Ultra as we talked about yesterday. Bit of a strange situation. Not going to play this video on screen for you, but I'll link it down below. But it looks like Classic was out the team due to this family reasons and stuff. He had to leave Toronto, and for some reason the management staff decided that if you're not in Toronto, you're not allowed to scrim with the team. And you know, we did kind of see this in the past with Looney not being able to leave Toronto. Seems like Toronto management kind of has some sort of thing about you having to be in Toronto. Not really sure why. It's a global industry, but anyway, it seems to be the case. I was really hoping to predict Toronto to have a good weekend here, and I probably still will in the coming minutes, but it just takes something away, right? Because they've been scrimming with Kleenex for the last few days. It looks like Classic's just going to be back, but I think even yesterday they were still scrimming with Kleenex, right? Which doesn't really set them up for the perfect start with Classic being out the team for several days. So not exactly sure what's going on here, but it definitely does look like he's going to be back this weekend with a few days out. Also, they updated the competitive settings to actually reflect the fact that Merc foregrip is now gone. So underbarrel Merc foregrip is now restricted from competitive play, which is pretty interesting. That they've followed the pros lead on this one. You know, suppressors, certain optic sights and certain weapons are now removed as well. So let's talk about this. This is an exciting weekend, of course, because this is the first time since the Chicago home series that all these three teams have been present at one event. Who has the best chance to win? Intrigued to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Let's look at these last few events that we've seen then. So the Chicago event a few weeks ago now, Dallas Empire of course taking the victory, and that's why when I made the power rankings video a couple of weeks ago, that's why I still consider Dallas Empire to be the team to beat right now. I think that they were just at a level that last time they played against everyone, they were the best team in the game, and yes, of course, they haven't played events since then, but it still seems to me that until Chicago or FaZe can prove that Dallas Empire are not the best team and can beat them when it matters, I'm going to say Empire are the team to beat, and you'll see that reflected in the predictions today. And yes, this is the last time it happened, but of course, Chicago at this event, they had Gunless on the team. They didn't have this new Pristini squad that seems to be doing kind of well, right? Where they won the most recent Seattle home series that we'll look at here in a second. So just after this Chicago home series, we then had the Florida one. Not exactly sure why the colors are like this, but Atlanta FaZe took home the victory here. A lot of teams that, you know, proved to be somewhat competitive, OpTic Gaming, Toronto Ultra, you know, Subliners, but FaZe won a relatively comfortable tournament overall. And then we had the most recent tournament in Seattle where Huntsmen won in a kind of similar fashion. Yes, there were some teams that were competitive, but Huntsmen were clearly at the end of the day the strongest team at this particular event. So with all that being said, this is what it looks like the last few events. We've got Huntsmen, FaZe and Empire, all of which won a LAN tournament earlier this season. So it was London, the Atlanta home series, and then the LA, the Los Angeles home series. Then since it's gone online, the Chicago home series online, Atlanta FaZe, as we just looked at, winning the Florida one, Huntsmen winning the Seattle one, and we get this nice little line here. So if the CoD gods like any kind of symmetry, then Huntsmen will win this one, and then we'll start on a similar trends, even though Dallas aren't playing this one, so it won't quite look as nice, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't really think the CoD gods care about symmetry. Let's do a bracket builder then. Link to this will be down below if you guys want to play along for yourself. So the top side of the bracket is a pretty tough one. We've got Seattle Surge, FaZe, Rocker and Empire up in this one, Guerrillas, Ultra, Huntsmen and Mutineers down low. So first of all, let's just kick it off, right? Because this first group, I imagine a lot of people are going to be predicting in a similar way, and for good reason, to be honest. Surge are not a great team right now, and Minnesota Rocker, having been a good team earlier this season, I think that they've fallen off somewhat significantly since earlier, and I just don't think they're going to be competitive enough to take down Empire and FaZe, or, you know, whatever it's going to take, one of those teams, I suppose, to make it out of this group. Certainly possible, but I don't think at this point of the season they're going to be able to manage to do it. You notice I put FaZe 3-0ing Surge already. If there's one series that I'm relatively confident in the results, it's probably going to be a FaZe 3-0 Surge, if I had to predict actual match results, or at least map results, because, you know, it's just, this is what people are expecting right now, and if Surge beat FaZe, then yeah, fair play. So yeah, okay, Empire, I'm going to take them to beat the Rocker as well, probably in something like a 3-1 fashion. I think the Rocker can put up a fight in some of the maps, but Empire just seem too strong right now, and without any reason to believe otherwise, I think that they've probably continued their path. The scrims seem to be going relatively well online as well. Let's let's go down to Group B real quick then. So Gorillas Ultra, I am going to take the Ultra to win this one. I think probably in a 3-1 or something like that. Definitely could go to a Game 5 here. I am somewhat concerned, of course. Gorillas now made this roster change. Saints is in the team instead of Spart. Should improve them to some degree. Maybe their respawns will get somewhat better. Their Search and Destroy has always kind of been where they have been a bit of a powerhouse, LAG. Their Search and Destroy win rate is actually really pretty good. But yeah, I think Ultra are too good, to be honest. It just depends, right? Because going into this weekend, I was certainly going to say Ultra make it through to the semi-finals. I think that's a pretty likely outcome still. But without this, these days to practice with Classic in the squad, does that make a difference to their team? Certainly could, but maybe once they get their groove back together, they can, they can romp through the weekend as they were planning to do initially. So I think taking them against LAG isn't really much of a surprise. I think Ultra have shown some good things the last few events as well, making a semi-final at the Seattle event that we just looked at a second ago. They had a good result there, beating Minnesota, and I think they beat Florida or New York as well. I think was the team they beat actually. So yeah, they had a good result there, and I think they can continue their run in this one. Huntsman Mutineers, this is another interesting series, right? Because we're seeing this Mutineers team with a new squad. They beat Huntsman twice earlier this season, once with Bristini, then Bristini went out the team, Ferro came in the team, they beat him with him, now Morks is out the team, and now Awakening is in the squad. And can they beat the Huntsman again? I don't think it's going to happen here. This is their first series. We get to see what they even look like with Awakening, whether he seems like he's going to be a great talent, or whether he's going to be another, I suppose, Spart on LAG that doesn't really do too much and kind of his season somewhat fizzled out, right? We'll have to see how it goes. I have somewhat high hopes that he can, improve this team to some degree, but against the Huntsman, when their hardpoint especially is looking really fundamentally solid right now, I expect them to win that map for hardpoint and close out the series there. But definitely things could go awry earlier, or maybe in the domination, maybe in the Search and Destroy, Mutineers can do an upset, because they've still got some great players on their team. So let's look at knockouts. I'm going to say Surge goes out right here. I don't think that's a particularly controversial statement. Rocket to make it through in something like a 3-1 fashion. And then down to the knockouts over here. LAG versus Mutineers. It's somewhat tough to predict, but I'm going to say that Mutineers do manage to do a number here. I think this, if it does go Game 5, to be honest, if it goes Game 5, maybe I'd predict LAG to win. But, we'll just go with this. I think the Mutineers are probably going to show something somewhat decent here. But, we'll have to see against the LAG, because LAG could be much improved, right, with Saints in the squad. That's certainly possible, but it's tough to predict because we've got so many new teams here this weekend. So let's go on here to the semi-finals. FaZe Dallas Empire. If there's a series I'm expecting to go Game 5, it's probably this one, quite frankly. And it's tough to predict because FaZe and Empire both great in Search and Destroy, but also FaZe maybe have a slight edge in terms of Game 5 clutch factor or something like that. Then again, I am conscious of the fact they have the veteran leadership on the team do the Dallas Empire, and that may make some impact when things start to go awry and we get into a clutch situation. So for me, I'm going to take Empire in a 3-2 fashion here, and then FaZe go down to the Rocker, and I'm expecting them to take that one in something like a 3-1. Then we look at the lower side. I think Huntsman will get the better of Toronto Ultra. I think it could definitely be a Game 5, though I see that on the cards. Ultra are a very good team at taking a lot of teams to Game 5. Definitely think it's possible, but in terms of clutch factor, Huntsman are definitely the team that has the edge in my opinion. Ultra are going to take down the Mutineers to make it out, and this is what my semi-final matchups look like, with Empire against the Ultra. And I think if there's going to be a series that Empire are going to take down, probably going to be this one at something like a 3-1. So for my prediction, it's going to come down to this. I think that Huntsman probably will make it out this group without too much difficulty, but the problem is for them that as soon as they get out this group, they will play one of Atlanta FaZe or the Dallas Empire, you would think, most likely. And for me, I'm going to take Empire in a 3-2. You guys may feel a different way here, but if the bracket goes as expected, this is a pretty big series to win, right? Because if you win this series, you get to play against the second team from this group, which is in all likelihood someone that isn't the Chicago Huntsmen, and that should give you a relatively free run to the grand finals to face up against the winner of Huntsmen or Atlanta FaZe. And this is an insane series, right? Because if this happens, we still haven't seen this series so far this season, right? Which is going to be exciting if it does indeed happen. Just for me, FaZe are slightly ahead of Huntsman in my power rankings right now. In scrims lately, FaZe have definitely been getting the better of them. Sharing a lot of the hard points, but pretty much winning all the dominations in the scrims lately. So, yeah, it looks like to me the FaZe should be favourites in this series. So I think it's very likely we see a Game 5 here. I think it's definitely possible. Huntsman looking very fundamentally solid in their hard points. The domination, maybe I'm going to favour FaZe, and probably in the Search and Destroys as well. If it does go Game 5, I think the FaZe probably have more good S&D maps than the Huntsmen do, more maps that they are comfortable on. So, to be honest, I'm going to slightly favour FaZe in this one. Definitely could go the other way. When it comes to clutch factor, maybe Huntsmen even have more clutch factor than FaZe, but I just think FaZe are maybe more comfortable on more S&D maps than the Huntsmen are, and they maybe have a sniper in their back pocket like Simp that's probably playing better this season than the likes of Formal, so they have some more flexibility on Piccadilly and Oklov Peak and all of these other maps. So, we'll have to see how it goes. Definitely predicting a lot of game 5s, though, between these top 3 teams this weekend. Then we go to the Grand Finals. Empire, FaZe once again, and look, I'm just going to say that given Empire, I think are the better team right now coming into this weekend as the team to be. I'm going to take Empire in another 3-2 fashion. Definitely could be something different here, but I think in a game 5, you know, Crimsix and Clayster, they're going to have the fire and the clutch factor to make things work when it matters. Sim talked about the other day on Deserter that he doesn't think you really need a leader nowadays, and I'm sure that Crim and Clay want to prove him wrong on that one, especially former teammates, right? So this is my bracket. Intrigued to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below on it. Do you think that anything different is going to happen here? Who are your favourites for the weekend? A lot of people thinking FaZe, a lot of people thinking Huntsman. I'm going to go with the Empire on this one, but definitely a difficult one to call. Of course, this will affect the standings quite significantly this weekend. Huntsman, FaZe, Empire, etc. all at the top right now. Huntsman do have an event in hand though. So yeah, thanks for watching the video as always. Thanks to Midnight for sponsoring it. This is what it looks like. 9 o'clock my time. That's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Everything cooks off with Ultra and Los Angeles Grillers, and then every 1 hour 30 after that we get a new series. 4 series today, 6 series tomorrow, and then Championship Sunday concludes. Thanks for watching as always. I'd like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you next time.